Hey there, folks. Morgan here, 23, female, ready to share a wild story that changed my life. Picture this, a spunky, carefree gal with a tomboyish spirit and a soft heart. Yep, that's me. And today, I'm going to spill the beans on how my heart got broken. Let's start at the beginning. So there I was, minding my own business as one does, living life to the fullest. I never thought I'd fall head over heels in love so quickly. But love has a way of sneaking up on you when you least expect it. Enter Felix, my soon-to-be husband. Now, our story might raise a few eyebrows. You see, after only 4 months of knowing each other, Felix and I decided to tie the knot. It was what some might call a shotgun wedding, spontaneous and full of surprises. But hey, life is all about taking risks, right? At the time, everything felt fine between us. Felix never gave me a reason to doubt him. We laughed, we loved, we embraced every crazy adventure that came our way. I thought I had found my perfect match, my partner in crime, and my forever love. Little did I know that the universe had something else in store for me. Cue the dramatic music. As time went on, cracks began to show in our seemingly perfect relationship. You know how they say the devil is in the details? Well, it turned out Felix had some secrets up his sleeve, and it wasn't long before those secrets came crashing down on me like a ton of bricks. Out of all the tiny and minute details that made me go, this by far had to be the one that really made my ears perk up. So picture this. I'm just hanging out in the kitchen doing my thing when I noticed Felix's phone lighting up on the counter. Now, he wasn't around at the time, so my curiosity got the best of me. I glance over and see the caller ID displaying the name Mother. Now, here's the kicker. I distinctly remember Felix saving his mom's number as something casual like Ma or Mom, not the all-formal Mother. It struck me as odd, you know. Just as I'm about to answer the call, since it appeared to be his mother, Felix bursts into the room like a tornado and snatches the phone from my hand like he's in some spy movie. I'm left standing there, utterly perplexed, and I can't help but blurt out, "What's your problem? Why do you react like that?" Felix, trying to play it cool, throws out this lame excuse about thinking it was a call from some important businessman who's about to seal a deal. Like, seriously? I raise an eyebrow, trying to hide my skepticism, and say, "Okay, but why did you snatch it from me like I was holding a bomb?" "Oh, I'm sorry, babe. I'm really tired and stressed out. I must have just snapped. Forgive me." "Yeah, it's all good. Don't worry about it." I, stupidly, decided to let it slide, thinking it was just a weird incident. Little did I know that this was just the beginning of the roller coaster ride. Later that evening, Felix heads off for a shower, leaving me alone with my thoughts. Now, call it a gut feeling or a sneaky intuition, but I couldn't resist the temptation to snoop a little. I gently picked up his phone, feeling like a detective in a mystery novel, and started exploring his contacts. I found the number saved under Ma and confirmed that it was indeed his mom's number, just as I thought. But then I stumble upon another contact saved as Mother, and the number is completely unfamiliar to me. Suspicion starts bubbling up inside me like a cauldron of curiosity. I debated whether to call that number right then and there, but time wasn't on my side. I heard the water stop in the shower. Panicking, I quickly sent the contact to my phone, deleted the text conversation from Felix's side, and swiftly placed his phone back where I found it. Now, my mind is racing at 100 miles per hour. What is Felix hiding? Why did he snatch the phone like it was a matter of national security? And who the heck is this mystery Mother in his contacts? Is it really some businessman or someone else? The questions kept piling up, and I was determined to find the answers. All right, folks, let's fast forward a couple of days. My mother-in-law, Helga, fell ill. Now, this wasn't exactly a surprise, considering she had always been a bit sickly. Poor woman would often end up bedridden, fighting off whatever ailment came her way. It was a tough deal, but we dealt with it. So Felix comes up with the brilliant idea of going over to his mom's place to take care of her. He tells me he'll be gone for a couple of days, making sure she gets back on her feet. Now, I'm no heartless person, and family comes first, so I say, "Sure, go ahead and take care of your mama. I'll hold down the fort here." Felix packed his bags and went off, assuring me he'll be back by the next week. And so I was left at home, doing my own thing with a slight sense of independence in the air. It was nice, I won't lie, but little did I know things were about to take an unexpected turn. You see, folks, the thing is, Helga was so sickly that she couldn't even make it to our shotgun wedding. Yeah, you heard me right. She missed out on seeing me walk down the aisle thanks to her poor health. The best she got was occasional video calls where she would catch a glimpse of her dear daughter-in-law. So when a couple of days went by and I saw my mother-in-law calling me, I was a bit taken aback, considering her presence in my life wasn't as frequent. Now, I'm obviously thinking, "Oh, how lovely." But folks, let me tell you, I never could have predicted what happened next. The conversation took a sharp left turn, catching me off guard like a squirrel in headlights. Helga, in her feeble voice, started rambling. "Hey, dear, look, I know that you've been missing Felix, what with his constant desire to take care of me. What can I say? I have to uphold my Son of the Year award." "Really? Thanks so much for being so understanding. I promise that he'll come to meet you and the kids today. I'm forcing him." "Helga? What are you talking about?" Suddenly, I could hear Felix frantically running closer and closer to the phone, shouting all the while and telling his mother, "You dialed the wrong number." Then, before I could even respond, the line went dead. To say I was shocked and confused would be a complete understatement, dude. Like, how crazy is that? I started pacing around the house as I would normally do when I'd get nervous, trying to make sense of what just happened. Of course, I tried calling Helga to get to the bottom of what she meant, but she didn't pick up. I tried calling Felix, but the same thing. They were both dodging my calls. You see, folks, the reason why it was so alarming to hear those words coming from my mother-in-law is because I don't have children. So why on earth would Helga say, "He's coming to see you and the kids today," when I don't have children? The pieces were starting to come together and I began retching in realization. This man was not only cheating on me, but he had a whole family on the side. Was that who Mother was? The mother of his children? I felt myself getting sick. I just couldn't believe it. And then I began to blame myself, saying it was all my fault for marrying a guy I'd only known for 4 months. I was distraught. It had been 3 hours since the phone call and I still didn't know how to feel or what to say or do. Then, after what felt like centuries, Felix called me. As soon as I answered, I didn't waste a single second. I went off on him, folks. I let him have it. I demanded answers. I mean, come on. What was his mother talking about and why was he acting all weird? I wanted the truth and I wanted it now. And you know what Felix does? He starts stumbling over his words, desperately trying to come up with an excuse. He mumbles something about his mother's medication making her delusional. But folks, that just didn't cut it, not for me. I fired back at him, asking, "If that's the case, then why did I hear you say you dialed the wrong number?" Oh yeah, folks, I had him cornered. Felix was caught in his own web of lies and he knew it. But here's the thing. I couldn't stand there all day listening to his feeble attempts at covering up the truth. I had a mission, remember? So without giving him a chance to respond, I told him, "I don't know what's going on, Felix, but I'll get to the bottom of it. And if it turns out that you have kids and I knew nothing about it, I'll make sure that you never have children again. Do you hear me?" And with that, I cut the call. It was time to take matters into my own hands. I knew I had to face the source of all this chaos head on. So without further ado, I dialed a number saved as Mother that I had sent to myself through Felix's phone. It was time to have a chat with the woman who seemed to hold the key to all these secrets. As the phone rang, I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. I was scared, folks, no doubt about it, but I couldn't let fear hold me back. I had to gather the courage to confront the truth, no matter how painful it might be. And just like that, the call connected. My voice trembled a bit as I said, "Hello? This is Morgan. I believe we need to have a little chat." It was time to dive headfirst into the murky waters of secrets and deception. I went into this expecting some answers, and honey, let me tell you, what I heard was straight out of a soap opera. Turns out this mother is actually named Clarissa, and she drops a bombshell on me. Brace yourselves, folks. Are you sitting down? Good. Clarissa reveals that she's the mother of not one, not two, but 5 of Felix's children. Yes, you heard that right. 5. I was speechless, folks, completely gobsmacked. I mean, I didn't even know Felix had 1 child, let alone a whole brood of them. Clarissa tells me that she hasn't seen Felix in a month, and she's been wondering where he's been because he hasn't paid child support in ages. Can you believe it? The nerve of that guy. He was busy with me. Earlier today, it turns out that Helga thought she dialed Clarissa's number, but ended up calling me instead. After the call that Helga and I had, Helga had secretly contacted Clarissa to ask her if she knew about me, to which Clarissa said that she didn't. Helga then told her that Felix got married not too long ago and was spending all his time with his new wife, me, and that's the reason why he hadn't seen her or the kids in ages, because he was enjoying his post-marital bliss. Clarissa was just as shocked as I was to learn that I didn't know about his 5 children and his ex herself. She thought that he would have at least mentioned it, but hearing how oblivious I was made her angry, not at me, but at her dirtbag ex, who just easily dismissed his children's existence for the sake of getting with me. I broke down. Obviously, I'm not going to lie, finding out all of that information struck me to the core. Clarissa, being the angel she was, tried to console me, saying that not too long ago she was young and naive like me. She assured me that things would get better and that I deserved so much more than whatever Felix was giving me, which was nothing but lies and deceit, I tell you. I felt like the biggest fool for not knowing any of this, but Clarissa, bless her heart, she was so understanding. She told me not to beat myself up over it, and that sometimes we find ourselves caught up in a whirlwind of deceit. I mustered up the strength to thank Clarissa for being so open and honest with me. It wasn't easy for her either, but she knew that the truth had to be revealed. And you know what she said? She said, "Us gals gotta stick together, right?" Can you believe that? The solidarity between women, even in the face of such betrayal. With that, we ended the call. I sat there for a moment, taking in everything I had just learned. Life can be one wild roller coaster, folks. But no matter how steep the drops or sharp the turns, we find the strength to keep going. Okay, folks, hold on tight, because this roller coaster ride isn't over yet. The next day, I received a call from Helga, my dear mother-in-law, and let me tell you, she was on a whole different level of apologies. Helga started off by saying how sorry she was, apologizing profusely for her son's betrayal. "Oh my goodness, my sweet baby, I'm so sorry for what my idiot son has done to you. Helga, my heart is broken." Helga goes on to explain how Felix told her that I knew about his mistress, his 5 kids, and how he had them all at a young age. She genuinely believed that I knew about everything, and she was heartbroken to learn that I had just found out the day before. I assured her that my heart was shattered into a million tiny pieces, and that her son's actions had left me completely blindsided. Helga sympathized with me, promising that once she was well enough, she would knock some sense into her son's head. She completely understood if I wanted to leave him after this revelation. She explained that after the confusion from the previous day, she confronted Felix and demanded to know what the hell was going on. And let me tell you, folks, he broke down like a crumbling building. Felix tearfully confessed that he had never told me about his mistress and his 5 children because he was ashamed. He wanted a fresh start with me, feeling young again and hoping to steer his life in a new direction. He feared that revealing he had 5 kids would be a major turnoff, which it is. So he chose to lie and planned to disclose the truth later on. Can you believe the audacity of this man, thinking he could juggle 2 households without consequences? I couldn't contain my anger, folks. I lashed out, calling Felix an idiot for underestimating the gravity of his lies. Helga listened to my outburst. Understanding my frustration, she assured me that she would connect me with Clarissa, but I surprised her by revealing that I had already spoken to her. Helga applauded me for taking matters into my own hands. She said that her son deserved every bit of this mess he had created. I then asked where Felix had gone, and Helga informed me that he had gone to Clarissa's place to try and make amends for his lies, as well as finally taking care of kids who he'd been avoiding for a month. Afterwards, he planned to come back home and explain everything to me. Helga apologized for not contacting me when I was blowing up her phone the day before, explaining that Felix had snatched her phone, leaving me with no means of returning her calls. I thanked her for everything, for standing up against her own flesh and blood in favor of the truth. It takes a lot of courage to do that. My dear child, words cannot express how truly sorry I am for his behavior. I swear to you, I raised him better than that. I know it probably won't mean much coming from me, but I'm sorry, Morgan. I'm sorry that he's done all of this to you. You're right, Helga. It doesn't do much to rectify things, but I appreciate it nonetheless. You've always been kind to me, and although we haven't had many encounters, I am grateful that you're a kind and genuine woman. With that, we ended our call. I sat there feeling a whirlwind of emotions. It was clear that Felix's lies had created a web of deception that was now unraveling before my eyes. But one thing was for sure, folks. I wasn't going to let him get away with it. All right, buckle up for the intense aftermath of this whole mess. Felix returned home only to be greeted by fury and hatred. All of his belongings were neatly sitting outside on the curb waiting for him. He tried to approach me, claiming that he could explain everything and begging for a second chance. But folks, let me tell you, I wasn't having any of it. I looked him dead in the eye and told him to kick rocks. I told him he would burn in hell for abandoning his own children like that. He started crying, saying that he was nothing without me, but I stood my ground. I told him that his misery was not my problem, and I hoped he suffered every single day for what he did. And with that, I closed the door on him, leaving him to face the consequences of his actions. It was a painful moment, but it was necessary for my own healing and growth. Now, let's fast forward a bit. While Felix was struggling, still living with his mother and becoming her personal nurse, she made his life a living hell. She was extra demanding and fussy, seeking reparations for the harm he had caused me and Clarissa. Karma had a way of catching up, and it seemed like Felix was getting his fair share. Speaking of Clarissa, folks, we eventually met in person. We found ourselves bonding over our shared experiences and the pain Felix had inflicted upon both of us. We became good friends, although I felt it was best to maintain some semblance of distance given the awkward and weird nature of the situation. As for me, I made a choice, folks. I decided that this situation could either break me or make me stronger. And let me tell you, I wasn't about to let this guy ruin my good heart and spirit. I began taking care of myself, both physically and emotionally. I realized that deep down, I was a naturally spunky and carefree person, a side of me that I had been conditioned to repress since early childhood. But now, with nothing to lose, I embraced it wholeheartedly. I understood that I didn't need to depend on men to fulfill me or define my happiness. I chose to live my life to the fullest, pursuing my dreams and surrounding myself with positive influences. I learned from this painful lesson, and I was determined to grow and thrive, leaving the past behind. So, folks, that's where my story concludes. It was a journey filled with betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately self-discovery. Felix may have shattered my trust, but he couldn't break my spirit. And as for me, Morgan, I emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace life on my own terms. Remember, folks, life has its ups and downs, but it's how we navigate through the storms that truly defines us. I chose to rise above, to learn from my experiences, and to never let anyone dim my light. And I hope, dear readers, that you take this lesson to heart as well. Thank you for joining me on this tumultuous journey. Now, let's go out there and embrace life with all the spunk and carefree spirit we can muster. Until next time,